I'll start off with that since you're reminding me now. Hey, Laura. So yes, this is a never-ending battle, right? We have 4 different oral arguments pending. So keep those donations coming. Share with your friends. Put up a little fundraiser on your own Facebook page and keep those donations coming in. It's super important because we absolutely have to be able to keep the donations coming in order to pay for everything that we're juggling. We know that we're right now pending 2 cases, one for scheduling in the New York State Court of Appeals. That's the Campion case, the one that says what is the definition of 12-126. We have the 3rd case that the mayor just lost, the Bentkowski case, and the mayor made leave for appeal to ask the court to appeal his 9th loss. We know that will probably get heard because the court took the first one, and really out of the 7 judges on that case, you only really need to hear 2 to say that they had an interest in hearing what that case was about. Since they took the first one, they'll probably take the 3rd one, and they will probably both go up to the New York State Court of Appeals. You guys need to stay healthy because that first case will probably be scheduled sometime in the fall, and we need to get you guys up to Albany with us. The 2nd case is called the copay case, and that case is in 2 courts, the Supreme Court and the Appeals Court. The Supreme Court oral argument will pick up next week. It will be 60 Center Street, room 412, part 11. Do not worry about writing this down because I will post it and I will email it out as well. At noon on the 18th, I believe it is. And what is happening on that day? Emblem Health and the City of New York are asking the judge to vacate the preliminary injunction that stopped the copays. They have revised their contract, and since the contract has now been amended or corrected, however you want to say it, they are probably going to ask the judge to lift the injunction and prepare to charge us copays come probably January. So that will be back before Justice Frank, and that will pick up on Thursday afternoon, 12 o'clock. So we will probably see you there if you just want to come out. I'm going to try to see if I can get in. Otherwise, Jake and Steve and Hannah will probably be there very early to be prepared to meet with the judge and have that oral argument. But I will make sure I post that information to our Facebook page. So that's your fundraising information. Please go to our website, www.nycretirees.org. There you can make a donation to our organization in many different ways. You can go by Zelle, go by Venmo, go by PayPal. You can write a check. The address to mail your check is there. Randy, my husband just passed paying COBRA for my benefits. So glad I still have traditional Medicare. Will always support you. Randy, my heart goes out to you. I am so sorry. Yes, if your husband was the member, his benefits passed with him. So, and unfortunately, the city is pretty cold in this, that most people don't recognize, and this is important to say, that benefits pass with they end with the retiree. So when the retiree passes, you lose your health care benefits the very same day. So it's very important that you prepare for that. Randy, I don't know where you do live, but please make sure that you are taking care of yourself and that you are preparing for your supplemental plan for wherever you are. If you need help with that, please reach out to our organization, retirees at nycretirees.org. Please let me know what we can do to help you, okay? As well as help you with a drug plan. Understand as well, you do have those COBRA benefits, and that is at 102% of the cost, okay? Fundraising, court, and that's really all I have to tell you. There's really not too much else going on. We are getting ready to plan some events for September. Our bills are coming back both in the city and the state, but I don't really have too much more to update you on. So what I would like to do at this point is introduce you to Evangeline Byars. Evangeline is from Transit Workers Local 100. She is an active employee. She's been supporting her retirees. She is running for office to be the president of TWU Local 100. So we're excited to welcome her. And let me bring her on. Hey, Evangeline.
Hi, good night. How are you?
I am doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing well.
Well, I just gave a little introduction to you. I don't know if you could hear me, but I wanted to thank you for joining us today. Evangeline is a candidate for president for TWU Local 100. Tell us who you are, what you do.
My name is Evangeline Byars. I'm a train operator at New York City Transit, and I'm a candidate for president of Local 100.
That is fantastic. So train operator, you actually drive a train.
Yes, I operate a train.
That is one fierce woman. I bet you have some great stories to tell us.
Oh,
So
lots of them.
what are you looking to do? What are the issues that you are facing as a train operator today, and what made you want to run for president?
Well, I'll start with what made me want to run for president. What made me want to run for president is I formerly served on the executive board of TWU Local 100. I most likely would have still been there had I not thrown my hat in the ring to run last time. But due to disqualification, due to my having COVID and being forced into bad standing, I wasn't able to run. However, being on the executive board of Local 100, it was a very telling to how we are in the position that we're in now. Doing contract negotiation was when, well, it wasn't only contract negotiation, but it was during the height of the COVID pandemic, a 19 pandemic, where the union sort of abandoned us while we were going through the pandemic. We were forced to work and we were not compensated. We were not allowed to file injury on duty due to being, the majority of us were not. And then on top of that, they held every member who had COVID in bad standing, even those who had passed away and were deceased. We moved the motion to have everybody who could not pay their dues, that they would be exonerated, that they wouldn't have to pay. And they said no, they would not allow it, and they voted it down. Moving right along to contract negotiations, while we were in contract negotiations, when they settled the contract, they brought it back to the executive board for ratification, for us to ratify it, to send it to the membership to vote for their approval so that it would go into effect. However, they never gave us a copy of the contract on the executive board, and they refused to give it to us, and they made it as if this was the way it was supposed to be. I don't know what happened before I ever got there, but from that time on, they have never presented a contract to the executive board for vote. And this is how we get the Medicare Advantage give back, and the members and the executive board not knowing what they voted on because they were never given a copy of the contract to review. The things that they were told were enhancements or things that were being, anything that was being put in the contract. So they actually voted on a contract blindly. So that's what has driven me to decide to throw my hat in the ring and run. And on top of that, excessive discipline. When I came into the transit authority, I was set up by a supervisor while in training. And he basically said that I crashed the train in the train yard, and I did not do that. And he had my whole class write fraudulent statements against me. And once one of my classmates didn't do it, and that led to an investigation that showed that the supervisor had had orchestrated this whole cover up, but he had done it to other people and was under investigation for that already. And so they removed him. They didn't terminate him, but they removed him from training. But that's how I got active. I've been fighting ever since I came into the New York City Transit Authority.
So now you've been doing this for how long?
Since I got here for 7 years.
But you're also an activist and an advocate for labor, to my understanding.
Yeah, so I've been organizing since about 2011. I was a student at Medgar Evers College, and our school was going through a hostile takeover. and we were not receiving the proper funding from CUNY. And my one of my professors came into the class one day and was like, "You students have to do something. They're taking the school from us." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And then we met after class. She explained to me what happened, and that led me to basically take over the school newspaper and become an activist before I knew what an activist or the labor movement even was. But that's how I got started in the labor movement. During that fight, it led to us receiving all of our funding. We got back our state-of-the-art science building, and now Medgar Evers College is a beacon of light on Bedford Avenue and still open for all of the students of the community to attend.
Hmm. That's fantastic. And I think sometimes they look to diminish the service that we've had or our experience. I know sometimes they even do that to me here, to try to say that I don't have enough time, or you
Mhm.
don't know what you're doing, or you're new to this game, you woman.
Yes, no, I've been advocating and active for a long time. I've It's become something that I've just accepted that this is my life's work. Anytime I try to do something else, I always wind up right back here. So I know that I'm in the place where I'm in the place in the space that I'm supposed to be in. And with all of the issues that are happening at New York City Transit, it's definitely time for leadership that understands the importance of the labor movement and is going to defend it and resist all of the things that are coming down the pipe to basically, take away all of our gains, contractual gains and benefits
Right.
that have been won over the years.
That's fantastic. So tell us some of the other things that you're working on. People come to you, I'm sure. I see it all the time on your videos. They come to you
Mhm,
for help and guidance, that there's problems that they're having to address, that they're not getting addressed by the current leadership of your local. How are you
mhm.
handling that?
Well, it's actually a lot. It's a heavy lift because I'm working every day at my tools, and at the same time, I'm dealing with the breakdown of our union. We have absentee leadership, and this is across the system. This is not just in my department. We have 7 departments in the Transit Authority, and in all of these departments, they have serious issues. But right now, what we're dealing with is we're dead smack in the middle of the 2024 union elections, and the president of the union has been targeting people who support me for president, or not even support me for president, but are working along with me and advocating with me on issues that he has been silent on. And some of those issues are the assaults in the subway system. We led a rally at the governor's office that led to the deployment of the National Guard. Now, this is very important because it shows us as workers, as rank and file members, that the governor is actually listening to us. And our union has not been able to put together an argument to continue with what she started. So she deployed the National Guard. However, there has not been money sent down from the governor's office to ensure the deployment of more police. Now, Mayor Eric Adams is saying that there's money in the budget, that there's going to be some police officers coming out in the academy, but we're trying to make sure that those police officers are directed to the subway system and the bus system. And this is why we see our bus operators and train operators consistently assaulted, stabbed, punched in the face, spat on, liquid thrown in their face, constantly accosted on their buses and on the trains and in the subways. Our station agents, they're all experiencing the same thing. However, Jano Lieber just did an interview, a series of interviews talking about enforcement in the subways, right? And how
Right.
enforcement, they needed to put more police and everything else. But when we were advocating for it, they basically were silent. They tried to pacify it and make it as if it wasn't an issue. And now that congestion pricing isn't coming and there's a myriad of different issues that are hitting the subway system. Now they're calling for enforcement. We need to do something about fare evasion. And this particular young woman, Ms. Barkis, made a video after complaining to her supervisors about what was going on and that some of the solutions that needed to be put in place in order for her to remain safe to make it home to her family. The same way Jano Libra is assured every day that he can make it home to his. However, after making the video, she was on the clock, but she has apologized for it. She said she would never do it again. And they have held her out of service for 5 months in what is called a rubber room downtown,
Wow.
just sitting there every day, like torture, um, on the clock, just sitting there, waiting to know her fate. Well, the appointed president and the VP of the department said to the young lady that she was there to learn her lesson, that she has not learned her lesson yet. And the president of the union, because of her support for me and advocacy for safe buses and subways, said that he was pulling his support from her. And after he did that, an hour later, management came in and took her out of service. And she's been out of service for over 30 days. And I have now had to step up and help to finance her legal fees and her representation to help her not lose her job. So this is some of the issues that we're dealing with. There's a video that I made all about it with interviewing the young lady and everything. If anybody want to see it, they can just, put my name in the Google in YouTube search and they'll find it.
Yeah, that video was hard for me to watch the other day when you had posted it. I was a little taken back that that was actually what the union leader was saying to her
Hmm.
in a situation when she was very vulnerable.
Right.
That
She's
was
not the first
disturbing.
person I've had to help. But I've helped there was a bus driver who was spat on and terminated. However, he had went originally with the union's attorney to arbitration and he lost. And when he wanted to appeal it, the union does not do appeals to the outside court. And so he needed help. And we hired an attorney to help him. And where we got stopped was that the union was in charge of the case. So from that point on, we've now understand that we can't continue on our fight to if we're wrongfully terminated or if we don't agree with a decision from an arbitrator. So now we have been forced to start raising our own money or borrowing money uh, from our pensions or wherever we need to get money from in order to be able to hire outside legal representation. Although our dues pay for attorneys, right, to ensure that we are receive justice when arbitrators fail us.
So there was a question here a moment ago. What was the most, let me see, what is the biggest danger to transit workers and workers overall?
The biggest danger to transit workers overall right now are assaults overall. But in the long term, it is the system. The system is the air quality is very poor. We have a lifespan of 2 years after we retire. Most people pass away after 2 years. But right now, assaults and on-the-job injuries are the biggest biggest hazard to transit workers.
Yeah, we see this on the news all the time of train operators getting cut or bus drivers being assaulted and spit on, or it's just it must be a very, very difficult job, obviously, in dealing with the public. As I could tell you, working with EMS, you do need a
Yes.
lot of patience, but you're even in a more vulnerable position because you're by yourself.
Yes. Well, also another issue is also the transit authority puts safety over service, right? Service over safety.
Service, right.
They put service over safety, which it should be safety over service. And so there has been an uptick in on-the-job injuries and fatalities. And it's something that if this happened years ago, um, people would be going crazy, right? There would be riots, there would be the job would be shut down, there would be strikes, people would be walking off at the loss of life. It's almost as if they want us to now get so used to people dying in the line of duty that we just start stepping over dead bodies and moving on with business as usual. That is the case of Mr. Hiron Joseph. He was run over by a train. Something went terribly wrong that day, but there has not even been given a preliminary investigation or anything into what happened to him. We had another transit worker who was a track worker who was just hit by a train a couple of months ago, and he's in the hospital. He has injuries to his head, a broken neck. And what is happening is that the transit authority is ensuring that service is still going on while serious work is going on in the subway system, right? And not ensuring that our workers are properly informed, and when these things happening, proper protocols in place to make sure that our workers stay safe. And it's getting worse. We had another worker who just passed out because they're forced to work in extreme heat conditions, and the transit authority does not want to even give water, okay, water, or shut down the service in that section of track so that they can have fans blowing or some type of air being supplied to the work area so that workers can stay safe. And there's no advocacy for us, right? It's as if the appointed president is absent and sleep at the wheel when this should be top priority. Now our flaggers, who basically set up the work area to ensure that when work is going on, the workers stay safe. They're not even providing them with water, and they're working in extreme conditions, and they've been asking for just water. And this is supposed to be given to them according to the law. So we have a whole lot of issues going on at transit. And as president, these will be addressed. We will bring back real safety teams. We will we will ensure that the safety teams are well prepared and trained, that they know what they're doing, that it's not just workers who are overseeing these safety teams, but people who understand and know how to deal with the agencies such as OSHA and PESH to make sure that our workers stay safe.
What about workers' compensation issues or working on social justice issues?
Well, workers' compensation at New York City Transit the MTA has been flagged by the comptroller on more than one occasion for not handling workers' compensation cases in a timely manner. What they do is starve you out to force you back to work at transit. Cases are constantly controverted. They have enough attorneys from here to wherever, to basically go to court and fight us to not pay us for our injuries or compensate us for our injuries. So they're constantly controverting the cases. So we have a whole bunch of cases that are not being heard, and our workers are basically being starved back to work or staying out so long that the time runs out for their surgeries, and they're being forced back to work injured, or they face separation from the company.
That's absolutely ridiculous. I have another question for you too.
Mm-hmm.
Given the amount of injuries and the severity of the injuries that your people suffer on the job, your members they're getting stabbed, they're getting run over by trains, they're breaking bones. What type of disability retirements, like for example, and I ask that because fire, police, EMS, certain uniformed members of service, they have a 3/4 type of a disability retirement pension. Does transit have anything like that to take care of you?
Well, you can retire with a disability pension, but the problem is that because of starving people out of work, a lot of times people do not document their injuries. They continue to work injured. So that will, in the long run, when they're trying to retire with a disability pension, if they have not been documenting all of the injuries, it becomes difficult to leave with a disability pension, but it's possible. So I just encourage all workers that anytime you're injured, document, 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 because in the long run, when it's time to leave, you're going to need the care, right? You're going to need the benefits, and you're going to need it documented so that you can always be treated and covered.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, we say that all the time too. If you didn't document it, it didn't happen. So it's really important be able to cover your butt. Even with just exposures, we had exposure reports we used to have to file. That way, if we ever developed something later as a result of that exposure, at least we were protected. So.
Listen, in the case of COVID-19, there was a comp lawyer named Sean Reardon. He wrote an article in the paper and someone sent it to me. And I was, at that time, I was on the executive board and I was on the front line making sure that they handled COVID-19 properly. And I had to go meet with the then President Tony Atano to let him know that we in my department had the first case of COVID to be reported and that people needed to quarantine. And they were very reluctant to report it. So I went live, let everyone know. But once I got this article by Sean Reardon, I got in touch with him and he told me what to do to let the workers know to document their injuries. They were supposed to give us a special form that they never gave us. Many people who were forced to work now have conditions such as myocarditis or long-term COVID. I had long COVID for a long time, very fatigued, shortness of breath. Even if you hear my voice right now, it's more raspy than it used to be after I came out of COVID because I had scarring, severe scarring on my lungs because I had double pneumonia. And so I was able to document, and many other people were, but the transit authority stopped a lot of people from documenting. While I was out campaigning this week, I met a signal maintainer who was out for months and never documented that he was infected at work. When he leaves here years from now, we don't know the effects of that COVID-19 has had on the body. And so he will not be able to be compensated or go out with a disability pension based off the fact that his injuries or whatever he sustained was here or was from here. So it's very important that we understand that there was a concerted effort during COVID-19 to stop us from having PPE and to also ensure that our injuries and how many people were infected during that time were recorded. So the real numbers are not anywhere to be shown.
Yeah, that is pretty serious.
Mm-hmm.
What other issues are you trying to address?
Well, issue that I addressed, I want to talk about the Medicare Advantage issue, but I just want to talk about women. Women have been in the Transit Authority for over 100 years, and just up until last year, women were only receiving 2 weeks maternity leave. I filed a grievance, a New York State paid family leave grievance. And when I filed that grievance, my father actually was sick and I needed to take care of him. And we had New York State family leave was the law. It's been enacted since 2016. And transit, it was inside of our contract, but it was never implemented. So when I went to, use the benefit, I couldn't access it. So I filed a grievance. In filing that grievance, there were a group of women who were also to be covered under New York State paid family leave who had had children or who were about to give birth and wanted to use the benefit as well. So we filed an et al. Grievance. And as we were filing the grievance, when we went to our step one and when we got to step two, they told us that they could not hear the grievance any longer because they were going into contract negotiations soon and it would be heard in contract negotiations, that the grievance would be heard at that time. So it was that grievance that forced the Transit Authority to have to negotiate maternity leave in accordance with the law during contract negotiations. So women now have 12 weeks maternity leave. However, what the union did, what the appointed president did, was he gave back New York State paid family leave and just implemented maternity leave. Okay. What we constantly see under this appointed president is the give back to management that affects us in the long run, right? So now women have 12 weeks maternity leave and men as well. Men have 4 weeks while women have 12. And What that now does is it hurts the family. Because if your mother, father, sister, brother, like my father was, who needs your care and attention, you don't have the leave available to go and take care of your loved ones, right? During this time, many people were posting on Facebook who were from the group, saying how they wish they could just go take care of their family. Well, if the appointed president had not, I mean, their parents, if the appointed president had not given back New York State paid family leave, people would be able to go and spend the time needed with those that they love and their parents, and to ensure that their transition and whatever they need, they're comfortable and they're taken care of. But he's constantly giving back the benefits. He's constantly giving back our benefits. And this is what he did in the case of Medicare Advantage and the retiree medical benefits. I had been following the whole retiree medical situation about 2, 3 years ago when it first started. And I did a video and was posting in the groups telling everybody, look what they're doing in the city. If they're doing this in the city, they're going to try to pull this over here. We
Yep.
need to be vigilant. Well, everyone told me I was crazy. I didn't know what I was talking about. We're under the governor. We're not under the city. You don't know what you're talking about. Well, our appointed president during contract negotiations put out that there was going to be an enhancement of benefits for the retirees. Well, there was no enhancement. It was Medicare Advantage. The same thing that happened in the city was right here in our face happening to us. But what has been uncovered over the past year as we've been fighting this and preparing, well, not even the past year, the past few months, because it went into effect in January, is that John Samuelson, who Tony Atano are the ones who appointed the appointed president, right, to continue their record of give back. It was John Samuelson who in 2012 put Medicare Advantage on us without ever taking it before the executive board. There's no ratification, there's no history of Medicare Advantage. It's just been there. And now they have taken away the Medicare option to our members. And now we're fighting to get that back. So now we have inferior medical benefits to inferior medical now because of the fact that they have given back retiree medical. And I just want to be clear. This week I was out talking to some iron workers in the structure department and letting them know about retiree medical. These men are about to retire. And when I informed them that when they when they turn 65, that they will no longer have access to Medicare, they couldn't understand what it was that I was talking about. They was like, this doesn't make sense. We have lifetime medical. I said, no, you don't have that anymore. The union has given it back. Now you have to wait for your medical provider to tell you whether or not you can receive care. And I had to tell them about all of the people who are now waiting for uh, who are now paying for their chemotherapy and all of the different things that are happening to people who are waiting for care and treatment. There's a lady right now waiting for a defibrillator.
Right.
And so we have a lot of issues with our retirees, but we are all retirees in training. One day I will retire after working in work trains and being exposed to silica dust and all of the harsh metals in the system. I may have some type of health condition that I need care for, and it should be made available to me. Our bus drivers often retire and need help. They have worn out knees, their back, right? Their hips from sitting in the position and driving buses that are not ergonomically designed to really support them. And all of us who work for transit, we have serious issues a lot of times when we retire. And many of our retirees are frantic and really wondering uh, if we're going to win this. I believe we will. You all have been successful. I think our judge is smart enough and will understand that as the union has now testified in court, Arthur Swartz, the union representing the attorney, because we are now suing transit and the union for taking retiree medical benefits from us, that they do not have an obligation to retirees, that once they are separated from the company that they no longer are covered, that they no longer have an obligation to them, and that they're a third party beneficiary at that point. And so we need to make sure that we get this appointed president back out, who does not understand that after we have labored and worked here and given our lives in service all of these years, that he does not have the right to take away our benefits when we're leaving. Many people have spouses, their spouse are receiving care. A gentleman came up to me after the meeting at the structure area, and he said to me that, my wife is gravely ill. Uh, I'm not going to be able to retire because she needs the medical benefits, and I'm already 64 years old. Okay. And so what he has to look forward to is medical bills instead of the promise of Medicare. And so this is very serious. So these are the issues that here I am at my tools, an active employee who has to go to work every day, dealing with all of these very serious and significant issues that involve our workers. And while the appointed president is giving it away, I'm organizing and fighting with the retirees to get it back. And so we're even though we're in a compromised position, the fact that we were able to get it in court and do what we needed to do necessary, I don't think he ever thought that the retirees, along with myself, would be able to get this as far as we pushed it, because they're so used to just taking everything from us without a challenge.
Well, that was kind of what they expected of the New York City retirees, that they did not think that we would fight back or challenge them from taking our health care. That we've now tied this up for 3 years. They don't understand that they were sold a pack of lies, that these plans are better or enhanced. They kept saying, especially Michael Mulgrew from the United Federation of Teachers, oh, don't worry, if your doctors don't accept the plan, we're not going to take the plan. But then that's exactly what he was doing, was they were forcing us into these plans that our doctors and hospitals around the country didn't accept. And then, of course, like you mentioned before, that now Medicare Advantage has prior authorization, and no longer will your doctor make the final determination as to what your health care will be. It is now the insurance company to determine what it is that you get or you don't get. Delay, 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 deny, deny, deny. And that's how they make their profits. I mean, even Aetna said it in their own, and you are, so everyone here is watching, you were forced into, your retirees are forced into one of 2 different Medicare Advantage plans, and your senior supplement, which was like our senior care, it was an Aetna CPPO plan, was removed from your choices. So you no longer could stay on traditional Medicare. You were being forced to choose between 2 different Medicare Advantage plans. One had higher copays than the other, slight differences, but they were basically the same, inferior Medicare Advantage plan. And yet still, and your union leaders are not the only ones, just so you do know, I don't want you to feel bad. Your union members were not the only ones that were signing a contract or ratifying a contract without having all the details. That is exactly the MO that happened with all the 100 New York City unions in the city of New York that signed and ratified their contracts with a simple summary sheet that said your healthcare remains premium free due to an MLC agreement, or see Appendix B for the MLC agreement. But then when they went to ratify the contract, there were no details on that, or there was no Appendix B in the case of the UFT. They asked about it, but they were told, oh, don't worry about it. It's free. Don't worry. There's no issue. Don't look here. And everyone just had faith, loyalty. I'm not going to be lied to. They're telling me, don't worry. I'm not worrying. And that's exactly what they did. So you weren't alone there.
Right. Well, one of the other issues with the retiree medical and the way that this has been handled, today I got a phone call from a group of guys from the structure shop. They were forced into what is called the captive audience meeting by management. This issue of taking away our retiree benefits and stripping us of our benefits is so big that the managers, the superintendents are now union busting, right? They're targeting not only the workers, but the managers who allowed me to campaign, which I'm supposed to have equal access as the incumbent because I'm a dissident and the incumbent, we have to have equal access during the campaign year. So I can go throughout the system as long as I'm in non-working areas on my own time. So I have to be in non-working areas during non-working times. I can campaign and give out information and speak to the members. Well, the transit authority, their superintendent decided that he's going to go and take uh, G2s and he wants to know who allowed me in, who opened the room for us to go in and discuss the issues that are before us, who did that, and that he's trying to come down hard on them. So I had to notify today the head of labor relations, Miss Anita Miller, and let her know that she has a superintendent that is union busting and that she has to cease and desist and has to tell him to cease and desist from all efforts to discipline or to do anything to our members because of the fact that they now know about Medicare Advantage and that about the give back because they were furious after understanding what is actually happening to them, and they wanted to be, be kept abreast of what was going on. And so these are the things that are happening, and the union has no problem with it. They don't care, right? There's nobody from the union saying, stay away from my members, leave them alone. They have a right to hear from the candidate. No, they're coming down hard on them and they're really pushing back, which is letting the members know that this is a real thing. Why are they trying to silence this woman? Why are they working so hard to silence her? Why are they fighting her the way they are? They are doing this because they don't want you to know that they're trying to break our union.
And from the inside too, I think that's the disturbing part is the time that I had a conversation with Richie Davis and Tony Otano. Tony really didn't, his perception to me was he was not familiar with what I was saying to him. And Richie really had no clue. But to explain to them that in traditional Medicare, you can see 99% of the doctors in America, those that you can't see, they typically don't accept Medicare. And those doctors are psychiatrists and pediatricians, which you probably don't mostly need to use anyway. So you're saying 99% of doctors in America versus Aetna Medicare Advantage, which you have and was the same plan basically we were going into, that you have to use their network. Your plan is actually worse than the ones that they gave us because you're required to use their network. It was a little bit more stringent than ours was. And your contract actually says if you do not use an in-network doctor, you will pay more. Ours doesn't say that. There were a lot of issues that were never fully vetted in that process. And I don't understand why that was not looked at the way it is. And younger workers don't understand naturally. Insurance, Evangeline, is very confusing to most people. Yes. Even homeowners insurance, car insurance, they just accept that, okay, I've got this, this, and this, and they don't really understand all the details. Even when they have to use it, it's a confusing thing. So now you're telling them that your life will change when you turn 65 or you become disabled and your insurance changes and it doesn't operate the same way. They're not understanding that their insurance is changing and how it changes. Right. And sometimes it's because that's the way that the plan you're on right now is built.
Yes, but I also want to make it clear that it's not only when you retire, it's when you become Medicare eligible. Right. So if you are an active employee and you're now Medicare eligible, right, those are the benefits that you go into. Okay. So it affects you too. It affects active workers as well. Right. They want us to believe that, this is just the retirees, those people that aren't here anymore, who you can't see, the people who you're celebrating with, who's going out the door, right? They'll be affected, but you are 100% okay. But we're retirees in training. Right? One day our number will be up and it'll be our time to go. And so as a tier 6 employee, which is our pension tier, we are in a lot of trouble. And I really appeal to the newer employees because they do not understand the labor movement. You know, I was raised by parents who were activists. My father was an activist and organizer and very much involved in ensuring that I understood the civil rights movement and labor. However, for those people who have not had that upbringing, you do not learn about the labor movement in elementary school and junior high school, not really even in college, right? Unless something happens and you have to discuss it or you take a class where they teach it. But it's not really a part of the curriculum anywhere, right? So the labor movement and what that means to our jobs. Civil service jobs are not just a test, right? There's a whole movement that
Right.
ensures that you have access to that test, right? And that you come on a job and you come into these benefits, but there was bloodshed, right? Martin Luther King was murdered for attending the sanitation strike.
Sanitation strike.
Um, it was that strike that led sanitation workers to be seen as men, right? And so we need to understand that the shoulders and what we stand on and what we're benefiting from, we have to continue to fight, and we have to continue to fight and defend. If we ever stop fighting, you will go right back to what it was in the 60s and the 50s and the 40s of what was won for us now. So I'm very, very concerned with what is happening right now and the fact that we don't understand what is happening. If the mayor, okay, who was an NYPD officer and says that he's labor, would even attack retiree benefits means that he has to go. And one of the things that we are really focused on right now is finding candidates that really want to understand and stand on our issues. And my plea is to the active employees, the newer members coming on the job. You come in and you think you have these benefits and everything is told to you that this is this beautiful thing. You're going to come in, you're going to retire, you have these benefits, you have all these things. And then slowly but surely you start to see that this is not really what it is, right? That every chance you get, not only are they trying to take your job from you and have you pay into a pension system that you never will benefit from,
Right.
right? But they're also lying to you about your health and your well-being. One
Absolutely.
of the
And we're
things
doing
that
the
I
same thing
want,
with council too. If you have active members or even retirees that are looking to run for city council, we are also trying to do that. We have a new website. It is retiredlaborstrong.nyc, and we are advocating to help take back what should have been people in these positions that should have protected labor and retirees, and they're not. So we're activating this page. We did it. We did this for the last election. We did it for the assembly primary and also for the RTC and para chapters for the United Federation of Teachers. So we would like to help get people who are interested in running for office to join us. So I'm sorry, go ahead.
yes, it's really important. And so we need more labor-minded elected officials. It's very unfortunate that uh, the state of labor right now is that the elected officials, they go to whoever will buy them, right?
Yeah.
Whoever's going to give them money. If your union is giving me money, then I can't talk to you because they may not give me a $2,000 donation because you stood next to me in a picture, right? And so because we have candidates that no longer can appeal to the masses and win an organic race, right, off of the issues and really fight for their seat, they're bought. And so we need politicians now to come in who understand, like the A. Philip Randolphs, right, and Adam
Yep.
Clayton Powell's. So we need to make sure that we get politicians that really understand what is going on. We don't have it anymore, and we have to get that back. I'm really impressed by what the retirees did in UFT by taking back their union. I
Yes, they
jumping for
did.
joy when I saw what they did. I've been talking about Evie, and just look what the retirees are doing. There's no reason why we can't take back our union off of
Yep.
the issues, right? When our presidents and our leaders don't understand that the power of the people will always be greater than the people in
Yep.
power, we have to stand up and show them, and we have the ability to. And so I'm on an education mission. Our union we
Good.
no longer have shop steward training. They're departing from
That's a
shop
shame.
steward, right? And they're doing this all because they want to stay in power. They want to
Yes.
continue to be well-fed and unconcerned. They want to continue to strip us while they go off and live the high life, right? And we are here starving and struggling. There's no reason why we will be the first tier to retire in poverty, okay? Something has gone terribly wrong when the selling out of the unborn, now we have the selling out of the unborn and the retired, right? That wasn't an issue before. The retirees were always safe, but now we have the unborn being being sold out,
Sold
and
out.
also the retirees. So the active and retiree movement, for us to stand together and come together and work together, is the only way we're going to win this fight.
I absolutely agree with you. And I keep saying over and over again, the leadership is not the union. You are the union. The people, the members are the union. And if you're not happy with your leadership, you take back your union. Because that's how we got into this mess in the first place. Is there's a level of apathy. There's a level of you get disgusted with what is happening around you. And you're like, oh, we'll never win. If that was the case, if that was the mindset of the retiree advocate, they would never have unsat that chapter. The same with the paras. Take back your union. And what does it take? Come on, grassroots organizing. And you know how to do that, girl.
Yes, yes. Go out to the people. And let me tell you, one of the things that keeps my energy is high, because when I meet with the workers and I see that they're getting it, right, it gives me some more fuel to keep going, right?
Yep.
Without meeting with the workers and without, them hearing and seeing that they're getting it, it gives me hope to continue to press on, knowing that they're going to vote their interests. I am
Absolutely.
very focused on the issues. I don't care about anything else except the issues. And I'm really proud of my team for standing with me and standing by me and continuing to push. They're very brave for what it is that they're doing. To step up and run for president or be a candidate in TWU Local 100 means that you're going to be attacked, that your job becomes on the line. You have to make a choice between your livelihood and fixing your internal issues. And that's what we're focused on. And so right now, we're doing a lot to protect our team. We can't come out and say everyone who's running right now, because we have to raise money to pay legal fees and everything else, and we haven't quite got to our number yet. And so we have to sort of walk soft until we get there. However, I am out in front. I am the head of the slate, and we're declaring victory already, because we know that it is our time, and that anyone who has been on this job for 28 years and has watched this decline and supported those who have put us in this position, and then come right behind and shore up all of the things that the MTA has been trying to take from us, and give it back. It's time for them to go. There's nothing that you can do for us here. Your time is up.
Yeah, we should not be I say this all the time. You should not be attrition bargaining. You should not be negotiating away your benefits. If you can't stand up to defend what you already earned and what you have, that if you have to open the closet and now sell off your retirees in order to pay for your raises, that is abhorrent. You do not deserve to be a union leader at that point. With a fear of that, though, Evangeline, for me, is that what I see when I see that is that they do not expect to either see themselves as retired, that they would have to protect what those that earned before them. They're not preparing for their futures. Our generation's prepared for our futures. We knew what we were giving up. We knew that we could have worked in private sector and make a lot more money, but We took the price of lower wages and different working conditions for working in the municipality for the city of New York, and that we would have a pension and healthcare in retirement. Your situation slightly a little bit different. You actually, when you had mentioned before, you're absolutely correct. Your retirees are suing your union. You guys actually had a contractual benefit that your benefits wouldn't be diminished. Our healthcare was actually statutory, not based in contract. But it's sad for me to watch how many unions around this country are making the same decision to sell off not just their retirees, but also benefits that would protect them in their future. And I don't understand why they don't see that.
Well, the reason why they don't see it is because it's a lack of education. The reason why I can fight the way I do is because of what I know. So I'm going on what I know. Many of our members do not know the things that I know or have the knowledge and the understanding of the labor movement and what is collective bargaining. They don't even know what a union is. The part of when I go out and speak to them, I ask them, how many of you know what is a union? If you know what a union is, raise your hand, right? Many people do not know what a union is. What does a union stand for? What are they supposed to do? You know, what comes with a union? They do not know. There has been no education. And it is the job of TWU Local 100 that every single employee that comes in is supposed to get a crash course in organized labor. That when they leave from that meeting with them, that they have been activated, okay, and that they understand what is at stake. That they're only making the wages that they're making because someone fought for it, because people struck. Right? Michael Quill, before his last hurrah, he was in jail, right? Holding out, making sure that that the things that they were fighting for, that they won, and they got everything. And he came out of jail and he died. And so I want us to understand that that's the legacy that we stand on, and we have to fight until we win. And so our employees, the problem that we have an education problem. And so a part of what I'm tasked with is to also educate. You know, a part of my campaign mantra is educate, agitate, organize, right? Because you have to educate people. They become agitated and then you organize them. So there's a lot that goes into activating members and getting them to really understand. And so it works. Education, agitation, and organizing works. It is it is what we use to get them active, but it's the education piece that's missing. That's why you see so many young people not standing up and saying anything, because they don't know what this is, right? They just think, I got this great job, you know, I'm going to retire in 25 years, I'm going to have this pension. But no, you have walked into a labor movement and a labor system where you will be the first here to retire in poverty. And it's not only happening at TWU, firefighters, police officers, all throughout the city and state, we're all faced with the same plight. And everyone asks me, well, how will you fix Tier 6? We will have a statewide movement to fix Tier 6. We will have to go and challenge the labor leaders that are there by going after their workers and letting them know, do you know that you're retiring on an inferior pension, that you will not be able to live on that pension? There's no reason why we're paying more into our pension and getting less out. Tier 4 retires on dollars earned. We retire on our salary, meaning our overtime is not calculated into our final average, right? Which makes it where we cannot live. So it will be a statewide movement to fix Tier 6. The firefighters, police department, teachers, everybody is affected by it. Right now, they can't even retain teachers because once they see their benefits, they're out the door. Like, why am I staying to work all of these years to retire on this? So it's very important that we make this into a movement. It has to be a movement to fix Tier 6.
Right.
There's no reason why when we make $100,000, we have to pay 6% into our pension. Willie James, a president about 5 presidents before, made the transit authority pay that, the 4%. Now under these people, under Samuelson, starting with him, we now are back paying the 4%. So now we're back paying the 6%. And not only that, they took away our contribution of our benefits of our overtime to where we retire on our dollars earned instead of our salary. So this is going to be a very uphill battle and a fight, but I'm ready for it.
And you're also contributing something towards your health care, right?
Yes, we contribute one. Now just think about that. We pay 1.5% into our retiree medical benefits so that we did not have to worry about paying for our benefits. And now we're paying, so it's taxation now without representation. So we're just being
Yep.
screwed all across the board.
Well, we're at that witching hour. It's just after 9. You've got a lot of love on these pages. I'm seeing all these comments. It's pretty amazing that you have, tremendous support here.
Thank
Everyone
you.
is really very, very proud of this event today and very supportive of what you're saying. You also have a lot of unionism support. For example, Inez says, how can you educate your union members en masse? What you're saying is wonderful. This, to me, this is a mission because you're very good at this. I'm not seeing this across the city where there is a lack of union education, union steward education, how to empower people and lift them up and get them to organize and advocate for each other.
Well, one of the things that anybody who's listening to this video can do, I'm willing to come out and talk at different places, schools, wherever it is, to let people know and sound the alarm about what is going on. So if you have access, or if you need me to come out and speak and help to educate, I'll be speaking at Mount Sinai Hospital at the end of the month. They have a program for girls and advocacy for racial and social justice, and I'll be talking to them at the end of the month and educating them on the labor movement. So I do it like I just was at NYU not too long ago talking to the students in the School of Business. After we finished talking to them, they started saying, well, maybe we need to change our careers and start to look at what it is that we're going through, right? When we started talking about the corporations that they're going to be working for that will not, that they have no pension plans set up for them, that they have no benefits, and that they will not be protected, and understanding that they are the ones that have to go in and change these places. I was talking about Twitter. Imagine if Twitter, before Elon Musk took it over, if they had a union, he would have never been able to fire all of those people and do what he did to Twitter. But because they don't have unions, this is why they're facing what they're facing. The
Yep.
collective power of unions are very, very important, and that spirit needs to be pushed back. Be brought back of union power. It's time
Absolutely.
for a resurgence of the labor movement.
So how can people get in touch with you, with your slate, help you in your mission and what you're doing?
Well, right now we have a GoFundMe that we have to raise money for legal fees so that we can continue to help employees who are wrongfully terminated to keep their jobs, or not even wrongfully terminated, who are put up for wrongful termination or targeted politically to lose their jobs so that we can fight to remain employed. This is a serious thing going on, to take people's livelihoods away from them, all because they want access to Medicare and adequate pay raises, right? And so that's how you can help with the GoFundMe. You can also, I have my handle on YouTube is at Miss Evangeline. So you can go there and watch our videos. And my name, Evangeline Byars, is how you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
So you're saying then that the union is not advocating, protecting, using the union attorneys to protect these employees against wrongful termination?
No, they're not. This is not the first one. I have a woman named Roberta Leacock. She was terminated and basically targeted because she was the first woman in her depot to get a reasonable accommodation. I showed her how to get a reasonable accommodation. She's from ATU 1056. We showed her how to get an accommodation. She was pregnant. She actually lost one of her twins due to being denied an accommodation. And she eventually got it through going through the proper process. Because what they do at transit is that when women are asking for reasonable accommodations with the supervisor or whoever sees you pregnant is supposed to offer it to you, they don't. And so what they do is force these women to work, and sometimes it causes them to lose their baby. But Ms. Leacock was fired for just for asking for an accommodation. Right at the end of her probation, they basically said that she had an accident that she did not have, which caused her to be terminated while on probation. Again, my challenge is having the legal, the money to help these women and men who are facing terminations due to assaults, uh, you know, retaliated because of the fact that they are retaliated again for their political involvement, because they want to step up and be a part of their union. And so that's my biggest challenge. My biggest challenge right now is having the money available to retain the attorneys. I have an attorney that has been helping me. His name is Mr. Martin. He's been an angel. He's been giving us services at below a rate, and I'm just really thankful for him and his service. He's helped a few of our members keep their job. He also does workers' compensation, and so I've been relying on his expertise and his care and his compassion to get us through. So Mr. Martin has been like a godsend to us, in the sense of helping our members to stay employed and pushing back. Once he shows up, all of a sudden arbitration is stopped, it's not scheduled, right? But they rush you with the union's attorneys because
Right.
they're working together. They
Yep.
could get you can get the arbitration calendar is open for the union, right? But when Mr. Martin shows up, we adjourn. We got to get things together. We're not sure what's going on, right? Because they know that if anything goes wrong in this arbitration, it's going to a higher court, right? And a judge will see that this is wrongful termination and that this is abuse of power that's happening over at the MTA. So I'm really, really passionate about this. I've been doing this for a long
For you.
time. And so we're going to continue to fight for the people.
Well, that's wonderful. I appreciate you coming on tonight. Thank you for joining us and answering everyone's questions, letting them know who you are. If you're a transit worker on our page, please spread this message. Get to know Evangeline and her team a little bit better. And if you're not a transit worker, then share this video onto your page so that anyone else who is a transit worker can get to understand the issues facing.
Thank you so much. This was great. And thank you so much for having me.
Well, and thank you too for standing up for your retirees. I'll tell you that that is a rarity among union leaders and unionists. You're paying attention, so we do commend you for that. Not many people, when we began our fight, and your fight for yours is still a little bit new, that you are actually helping your retirees. So I thank you for that. There's one last question here. It says, what is your GoFundMe name?
Oh, hold on. I'll tell you right now. Support Evangeline Byars in fighting for our rights.
Okay, so there you have it. And you can always go to her social media, and I'm so sure she'll post that as well. Evangeline, thank you for being here. Thank you for standing up for union labor, for protecting your union workers, and for protecting your retirees. And good luck on your election, and have a great night. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, and have a good night. Thank you.